question before we get into it, and I want you to be honest with yourself when you answer. When you watch yourself back on a video, is your first reaction, I look good? Or is it something closer to, why does the lightning make me look like that? If it is the second one, you're not alone. And the good news is it is almost never about how you look. It is almost always about how you're lit. Lighting is the single biggest lever you have on how you come across your own camera, more than your background, more than your camera quality, more than anything you are wearing. And the mistake most people make, the one I see consistently, is thinking that better lighting means more lightning, more ring lights, more brightness, more wattage, more. It's just more. It does not. In fact, too much light is often worse than not enough. It flattens your face, washes out your features, and creates that artificial overproduced look that makes people feel like they are watching an infomercial instead of a real person. So the goal of good on camera, it's not to look like you are on a film set. It is to look like the best version of yourself, just a little cleaner, a little more awake, and a lot easier to watch. That it is the standard. And that it is what we're going to build today. 5 adjustments, not expensive, gear required, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to change and why it works. So let's get into it. Before we go to tip by tip, I want to make sure that we are working from the right mental model. Because if you don't understand what lightning is actually doing, the tips makes a lot more sense and you can troubleshoot on your own instead of just copying a setup you saw online. And here is the core idea: light reveals and shadow defines. Light on your face makes your features visible. Shadow gives your face shape and dimension. The balance between the two is what determines whether you look real or flat. When everything is equally bright, when there is no shadow at all, your face looks two dimensional. It is actually less impressive than a more natural, slightly imperfect setup. Your brain expects a shadow, it expects dimension. When the image is too clean, something feels off, even if the viewer cannot name what. On the other end, when there is too much shadow, when the only light is coming from overhead or from behind you, your face looks dull, tired, or even a little ominous. That it is the horror movie lighting problem. And it is incredibly common in home recording setups because most rooms are lit from the ceiling, which is the worst possible direction for a face on camera. So the goal is balance: enough light to see you clearly, enough shadow to give your face shape, and all of its position in a way that it feels natural and not staged. So think of it this way: you're not trying to eliminate a shadow, you are trying to control where it falls. Keep that in mind as we go through the 5 adjustments. Everything we are doing is controlling the light, its direction, its softness, and how it interacts with your face and your space. So, tip number 1: your main light needs to be in front of you. This sounds obvious, but I promise you, the majority of people recording at home have their main light source behind them or directly above them. And both of those positions create problems. A light source behind you, a window, a lamp, a bright wall, turns you into a silhouette. Your camera is trying to expose for the bright light, the bright thing in the background, which means your face goes dark. Even if you can still see yourself, you look underexposed, shadowy, and hard to read. An overhead light, like most ceiling fixtures, casts downward shadows across your eye sockets, your nose, and under your chin. It is the single most aging and flattering light direction for a face, and it is what most rooms default to. So the fix is simple. Move your main light source so it is in front of you, slightly above your eye level, and angle slightly downwards towards your face. What does slightly above eye level means in practice? If you are sitting down, your light should be roughly at forehead height or just above, not up near the ceiling, not down at the table level, just a little above where you are looking. An angle slightly downwards means you are not shining it straight at your face. You are aiming it so the light falls naturally across your features. The way sunlight does when you are outside on a bright but overcast day. The single most impactful change you can make to your on camera appearance is moving your main light from behind you or above you to in front of you and slightly above eye level. That's it. That it is the whole tip. A ring light works, a window works, a softbox works, a lamp with a diffuse bulb works. The specific gear matters less than the position. Tip number two, do not sit right up against your background. This one surprises people because it has nothing to do with light itself, but it changes how your entire frame looks on camera. When you're sitting directly against a wall, a few things happen. First, the shot looks flat. There is no depth, no sense of a space, and everything behind you looks like a cardboard backdrop. Even if your wall is nice and clean, it reads as cheap on camera. Second, any shadow cast by your lighting fall directly on the wall behind you, which creates that dark patches and uneven background that are distracting. The third one is if you are using any kind of background blur on a webcam in a virtual meeting or in post, it works dramatically better when there is actual physical distance between you and what's behind you. The fix, move forward. Even 2 or 3 feet of distance between you and your background transforms how the shot looks. It creates depth. It softens what is behind you naturally and it gives you lightning room to fall on you without immediately bouncing off the wall. If you are working in a small space, this might mean your desk is a few feet away from the wall rather than push against it. It is Trust me, it is worth the adjustment. You don't need a fancy background. You need distance from whatever your background is. 2 or 3 feet changes everything about how the frame reads on camera. Tip number three, if you have two lights, use a triangle setup. This is the setup that professional studios use, not because it is complicated, but because it solves the two biggest problems at once. It gives you enough light to look clear on camera, and it preserves enough shadow to make you look three-dimensional. And here is how actually it works. Light one, it's your key light. This is your main light source, the brightest one positioned in front of you and slightly to the side, not directly in front, slightly off to the left or to the right. This is the light that does most of the work. Light 2 is your field light. This goes on the opposite side of your key light, softer, dimmer, and set back a bit further. Its job is not to light you. Its job is to reduce the harshness of the shadow that your key light creates. It fills in the dark space of your face just enough that it does not disappear. Together, these two lights create a triangle of illumination across your face, which is why cinematographers call this the triangle lighting setup. You get dimension from the key, softness from the field, and depth from the remaining shadow. Now, what if you only have one light? That is completely fine. One light Position correctly in front of you and slightly above your eye level, it's better than two lights positioned badly. Use what you have and position it well. You can always add a second light later. One well positioned light beats two badly bad positioned lights every time. The setup matters more than the quantity. Tip number 4: warm light and cool light create different feelings. Pick one intentionally. This is the tip that most people skip because it feels less urgent than my face is too dark, but it actually has a significant effect on how your content feels to watch. Warm light, think amber, gold, soft yellow tones, feels welcoming, approachable, with conversational. It is the kind of light that makes people feel like they are having a coffee with someone they trust. It works well for coaching, content, personal branding, storytelling, lifestyle topics, anything for where the relationship between you and the viewer is the point. Now, if we're talking about cool light, think crisp white, blue white, clinical brightness, um, feels more precise, more authoritative, more professional in the traditional sense. It works well for technical content, instructional videos, anything where you want to signal expertise and clarity over warm. Neither is wrong, but mixing them is. If your key light is warm and your background is lit by a cool overhead fixture, your frame is going to look inconsistent. Your viewer will not know why it feels slightly off, but they will feel it. Mismatched color temperatures create a subtle sense of something being not quite right. So, pick one direction, warm or cold. Then make sure all your light sources are pulling in the same direction. Most adjustable LED lights lets you set the color temperature directly. If yours does not, at minimum, turn off any competing light sources that are a different temperature. Your lighting temperature is part of your brand. Pick one direction, warm or cold, and stay consistent across every episode. It is one of the things that makes your show feel like a show, not just a recording. Tip number 5, and this is the fastest quality check you have: look at your eyes. Before every session, pull up your camera and look at your own eyes on screen. Not your background, not your framing, your eyes. And here is the reason why. The eyes are the most emotionally expressive part of your face, and they are also the most sensitive indicator of whether your lighting is working. When your lighting is right, your eyes looks awake, present, and engaged. When your light is off, your eyes looks dark, shadowy, and tired, even if you are fully rested or energized. If your eyes look dark, your main light is probably too high or too far away. Bring it down slightly or move it closer. The fix is usually small. Even if your eyes look washed out or the pupils are hard to see clearly, your light is too bright or too close. Pull it back or soften it with a diffuser, even with a piece of a white tissue over a lamp, creates a meaningful softening effect. If there is a catch light, that small bright reflection in your iris, your key light is hitting your face at the right angle. Catch lights are a good sign. They make eyes look alive on camera. No catch light usually means your light it is too far to the side, too high, or too diffuse. Adjust until you see that small reflection. Your eyes are your fastest lighting diagnostic. If they look awake, your light is working. If they look dull or shadowy, something needs to move. Now, that is the whole checklist. Okay, so 5 tips. Let's run to them super fast. One, put your main light in front of you. slightly above the eye level, angle slightly down. This is the single most impactful change you can make. Two, step away from the background. 2-3 feet of distance adds depth and removes shadows from your wall. Three, if you have two lights, use a key light and a fill light. Key does the main work. Fill soften your shadow. One light is fine too. You just need to know how to position it well. Four, choose warm or cold and stay consistent. Pick a temperature that matches your tone and make sure all your sources match. And five, check your eyes before every session. Awake eyes means good lighting, dark eyes means something needs to move. None of these require expensive gear. All of them make a visible difference the first time you try them. If this was helpful, subscribe. I put out videos like this regularly, practical and specific for podcasters and content creators who are building something real. I also write a free weekly Substack that goes deeper on topics like this: lightning, audio, format, positioning, and industry specific playbooks. The link is in the description. And a genuine question for you: what is the one thing about your current on camera setup that you wish looked better? Drop it in the comments. The most common answers become future videos. So go fix your light. Your next recording will look noticeable different. See you on the next one.